Hey, and welcome back to Event Tech Live Las Vegas. We're on day 2, and I am joined by none other than Will from Bizzabo. Hey, Will, how you going?
I'm doing amazing. This is just so happy to be here.
Excellent. Oh, that's good. You can be the most enthusiastic of the day so far. Well done.
I think that's usually like my job description is to be the most enthusiastic person in the room.
Great. Well, I'm glad you brought it. I'm glad you brought it, and you bring it regularly. Thank you for that. So Will, a regular to the Event Tech Live family.
Yes.
How's the show going for you, day 2?
It's great. I mean, like, this is a show that you come to, and I think Julia said it yesterday, is like, you feel like it's family. Everybody's here. Like, it's so many familiar faces, and also, like, I think this is the place that you go to find like where all the newest stuff is going on. Mm-hmm. And I love being able to hear new names I've never heard before that you're not really like seeing in other places. So like I just am absolutely a huge fan of this show, and I love seeing it grow year after year.
And so shout out to any of those specifics, little nuggets that you found while you've been here?
Oh my gosh. I mean, like, I'm just looking around. I can't probably say any of them because I'm also like, you know, they always have like a weird like startup name that you're like, I'm totally going to screw this up. Yeah. But I've been really, really fascinated to see, especially a lot of like location-based stuff, like obviously like with Click in terms of the data, ability to bring more data in, and also, you know, I think what's been really interesting too is seeing like a lot more hyper-specific AI tools for the events industry, which I think is really, really exciting too.
Yeah, that's interesting. AI is all we were talking about in November.
Oh yeah. We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting that we're starting to. I think personally, we're starting to see some of the manifestations of this refine themselves, and it's not just AI here, AI there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, and Brant and I talked about it in our AI talk yesterday, was that there's a lot of times where in our industry we're talking about AI and we talk about it very broadly, like, oh, this is where it's gonna go one day. Oh, this is how you broadly need to think about ethical AI. It's like, okay, that's great and all, but like, show me the tools too. Yeah. And so like when Brant and I did our talk, which everyone should definitely go check out, we just got into the weeds and started grabbing, here's how you use this tool, here's how you use this tool, here's how you use this tool, and here's a tool you might have heard. And I loved it because at the beginning we go, okay, who's heard of this tool? Hands go up. Then we go to the next one, less hands go up. Okay. Less hands. And by the end we go, how many people have seen this? And everyone's like, mind melted.
Yeah, did you dig into specifics in that then?
Yeah,
Is there some specific recommendations?
Yeah, tons in there. You know, like for example, we go into everything about like Microsoft's live real-time video generation, which just came out I think like a week and a half ago.
Okay.
Down to like audio generation, music generation. We talk also about like how to use AI to like comb through all that event data you're getting too. So we actually talk about a lot of specific tools, and I would just definitely recommend, like, if you're watching this right now, like, bookmark that next talk and go watch it, because it's just 45 minutes straight of Brant and I talking. Here's a tool. Here's 15 ways to use it. Here's another tool. Here's 15 ways to use it.
Perfect. And that's what's great about the Event Tech Live family, actually, is that we there is so much stuff going on.
Yes.
But actually having some specific use cases for these things that refer to you and me. So great. So definitely check out that. But that wasn't your only session from yesterday. You do one today as well.
We got 2 more today too. So yeah. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be doing a panel with the Brooklyn Nets and the Famous Group. And what I think is fascinating about this one is that we spend a lot of time, like, we obviously all mainly corporate conferences, that sort of piece of the events industry, but there's so much we have to learn from like sporting events and music festivals, and specifically with the Brooklyn Nets is we're talking about game presentation, like how to use technology to like make an exciting sporting event, which you think to yourself, oh, like, it's a sporting event, it's about the game and watch it, but you don't realize, like, and talking to these guys, how much technology is getting incorporated into these experiences to make people want to buy season tickets, come back, and there's so many parallels we can bring into the corporate event world. I'm just really excited to nerd out with them, and plus, like, if you're a big basketball fan, you have to come watch that one too. So there's that one, and then later on today, I'm also doing a session all about wearables. So everybody's probably heard about Click now if you know who I am, but if you haven't yet, look up Click, K-L-I-K. And it's all wearable. So I'm talking about how do we ditch business cards? How do we ditch the idea of using, you know, our phones at events? Instead, how do we create authentic connections? And how can wearables give us more real-time data in addition to creating amazing attendee experiences?
That's cool. That's great. And they can, if anyone is coming to watch here, they can actually get demos on your stand as well.
Yeah. We've been absolutely slammed. I love it because people are like really hearing about it. So they come and go, I've been hearing about Click, show me. And we actually are printing out the badge showing you what that entire experience looks like. And then there's actually, like, we've been handing out badges and they're all like floating around the event and people are using them, which is pretty exciting to get to see.
So it's been a good show.
Very good show.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Great. So this you did say I was allowed to give you a curveball.
Yeah, I'm
so
always ready for them.
I'm going to. So I've been asking everybody that's a similar question. Cool. In what do you expect from the next, let's say, 12 to 18 months in the events industry?
Yeah.
What do you think we can see? As I say, we talked a lot about AI, and you know all about that.
Yep.
You know, what are we going to see?
Yeah, let's skip past the AI since everybody's talking about
awesome.
that. That's obvious, right? Mm-hmm. I think the other thing that a lot of people are talking about in the general industry is a lot of consolidation, right? Mm-hmm. We're seeing the effects of kind of like the wind down from the virtual event experience, and a lot of companies buying each other, moving around, that shifting. So that's a very very macro thing happening in the industry. But again, that I don't know if that necessarily affects a planner or anything like that. So let's talk about things that actually matter that we're going to use. So first thing I think is that very large trend that I'm seeing that I think everyone has to be very aware of is that all these this shift in marketing is happening. Mm-hmm. Since COVID and since there was a lot of injection in money into technology companies and I'm not just talking like event tech, I'm talking about tech as a whole, there was so much content marketing happening, and that was a leading way. Honestly, I know it's because my agency did content marketing like crazy. Blog posts, videos, all podcasts. If you heard the event tech podcast, you know what I'm talking about. And we were creating so much content, and that's how we marketed. It was so successful. Then when we start seeing the efficacy of content marketing go down and down and down, because now everybody's doing it. Now then you layer on top of the fact that AI can do all this content marketing for us. Now, kind of its ability to convert people and gain customers is becoming less and less powerful. So what's happening is these companies are looking around going, okay, well, content marketing's not working. We know ads are kind of annoying and no one really wants them, so they're probably blocking those out. How do we reach our target audience and actually get them to listen? And what marketers are realizing is events are that way. So you're seeing more investment into exhibitions, sponsorships, but then they're coming to us as organizers and going, okay, this is great. I'm getting some leads. How do you get me more? And so the question becomes for us as organizers, how do we create more effective events for those brands, and how do we use events as marketing tools? And so I'll layer this on top of another meta trend that we're seeing as well, which is data. And we've talked about data for years. I think it's been on my trends guide for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You need to know data, and now it's becoming this thing where you absolutely need data. And here's the proof I'll give you to why it's more important the next 12 to 18 months, is that organizers are so used to getting so much data from content marketing. Like HubSpot tells you how often people are looking at your page, right? And when we did virtual events, we knew how long you're watching sessions. And then we went back to in-person events and we go, oh yeah, how was the show this year? It was great.
Yeah.
It was super successful, right? And we don't have any metrics and ROI and data to prove with it. So more as organizers, the more that we can come back with that data, the more that we're also going to support this longer trend I've been seeing over decades, which is how do we grow closer to the C-suite, and how do we get taken more seriously so we can get bigger budgets, so we can do more cool event technology, more cool, amazing things, bring in bigger speakers, is how can we prove it with data? And so if you can prove it with data, you're going to solve that issue of how do we make events better for marketing. And then that's also going to help you grow closer to the C-suite so you can become a more influential part of the entire business stack as a whole.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me, because marketing is often about ROI, right?
Yeah.
It's what I'm getting. And if you can get that specific data that says, look, I thought this was good and here's what proves it, you take that up to the C-suite, everyone's happy, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think with ROI data, it's going to prove me that my decision was wrong. I think that people, and I say this as somebody who was in a C-suite, is that when you go and say, hey, I was wrong, here's how I actually am going to improve it now for next year, I reward that. And I go, okay, you know what you're doing. You're paying attention to this more. So I don't care that that test was a failure. And I think that's what we need to be starting to think about more as organizers.
Yeah, let's be sure to learn from it. Great that you have. Let's crack on. Awesome. I'm just one more. You mentioned about I think what you're getting at is that more people are using events, and we're still seeing that boom that we saw in the kind of 18 months after. I'm going to mention the COVID word now. Sorry.
It's all good.
Are you expecting that to continue? What are your as I'm slightly biased here as someone that has skin in the game with virtual and hybrid events. What do you think their role's going to play?
I think it's really interesting to see like how virtual and hybrid is becoming a part of the stack. But I was you can look at it, all the talks. I think even like at ETL, like 3 years ago, I'm like, hybrid is the future. And I think we're seeing that hybrid is becoming really too complicated for the current organizer, because it's just too much. We're not getting enough budget to do it the right way. We're not getting all the cameras and things to do it. And plus the technology is realizing that like, hey, there's really not as much money there because people don't want to invest in it. So I think hybrid's becoming really hard to do. Not that it's not possible. Like there's a lot of people doing amazing hybrid stuff. Again, look at sports as an example. But when it comes to virtual, I think what people are realizing with virtual is that it has a real good place in the marketing stack, right? But unfortunately, the word virtual event is really just becoming a webinar, essentially. So if you can drive a really effective webinar, I think it can become a part of a larger event strategy where you bring in multiple events and you have webinars leading up to an annual conference then at that point. But we're really seeing a gigantic boom in in-person events, and it's really cool because being on the Bizzabo side of things now, like we do thousands and thousands of events. So before, when I was doing Endless, like we were doing hundreds of events. Now I see this larger data pool, but we're seeing that in-person events are just climbing like absolute crazy. And again, I think it has to do with that trend that people are they're seeing success in it, and marketers are saying in-person events are working, so let's keep investing in that. And whether we're talking about a large conference or a dinner series or something like that, like in-person is really, really killing it. So like, I think it's one of these things where, as much as I really wanted hybrid to be successful, I believe it's a way to have diverse events, it's a way to have more sustainable events. In-person is doing really, really well. Yeah.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to take from this conversation, correct me if I'm wrong, is that our audience continue to drive those events, continue to work them hard.
Yep.
But make sure that you're delivering your audience, whether that be your attendees or your exhibitors or whatever. Yep. Make sure you're giving them the right data to prove that they should have spent the day coming out. They should have spent whatever it was to get that exhibition stand.
Yep.
Is that what we're hearing?
Absolutely. Hit nail on the head.
Awesome. Great stuff. Thanks so much, Will.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you, everybody.